Jesse Boone. Jesse Boone.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Hi. I'm good.
Kevin Jones is the character's name in the upcoming. Well, it's not upcoming. It's a series. It exists. It's
3 episodes are out.
A from home like sitcom about students entitled Freshman Circus.
Yes, Freshman Circus.
And I was given the option to have any of the castmates on my show, and I picked you because the character that you're playing most reminds me of me.
Oh, hell yeah. You're actually not the first person that said that. I love that.
Well, that makes me feel less unique. I'm out of here.
And cut. Shortest show ever.
So you're living in Los Angeles. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Yes. Living the California dream.
Well, the California dream is kind of on pause in a lot of ways.
Quarantine California dream.
The quarantine California dream. Yeah. Come live out here, pay a lot of money to do absolutely nothing. Excellent.
How long have you been there?
I've been out here since November of 16.
Okay.
I got the Chicago Cubs shirt.
Representing where you came from.
I'm actually from Arizona. But
okay, so they're not representing where you came from.
I'm all over the place in many ways. Geographically is only one of them.
Right.
But I moved out to LA right around the time the Cubs went to the World Series and then won. I was working on a film in Ohio, stopped by my native Arizona, and then came out here and saw the last couple games. So it was very busy when I first got out here.
Dude, man, that's freaking. How old are you?
I am over 21.
Okay. Okay. When I said what do we not talk about, you should have said I'm not going to talk about all.
Oh, that's no big deal. I guess I'm 28.
Yeah, I'm very very transparent with that kind of stuff because like I'm not ashamed of how old I am or how young I am because all of that has led me to be who I am and I dig it. So I think the only gut reaction of I'm over this is just because I'm so used to giving that answer to casting. Because if I'm reading for I still read for freshmen and right, of course,
sophomores in college, and as soon as you say you're 28, you're like, what?
Your series is about being a freshman.
There you go. I fooled him.
You got him. Got him. Hey, casting. Heh.
I snuck by you. It's all about getting past the gatekeeper,
So you're married, huh?
I have a fiance. I just I wear a ring. I got a there we go. It's a film strip.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it was just such a badass design. We decided, what the hell? Cool,
man. Very cool.
I don't even think we're gonna get different bands. I think we're just gonna keep the ones we got.
Yeah, I had another friend on my podcast, and he was like, he had the tattoo. He had it tattooed like tribal. He's Hawaiian, and he got it tattooed by like a Samoan tattoo artist, and he's like, yeah, I don't know how he told his family, we don't know how long he's gonna be around, so we want to get it now while we're engaged. When they did that was when they're married. But they were like, yeah, we're not telling anybody yet. But like I was like, okay, well, hopefully they don't listen to this.
Oh well, see, the secret's out now. Secret's out about my age and about your friend.
Yeah. But what was it like? It's weird. I don't know how to ask this question, but it's like, what about you was like, I think I can get attention. Like, I think that I seek validation from my performance enough. Like, what was the hole there that you felt you had to like fill up with being a performer?
I associate it with the best kind of bad parenting. I was the kid that would go outside into his backyard when I was young, swing a stick around and call it a lightsaber, and I drag my little brother out there to act in our own little stories.
Yeah.
And then the weird thing is that my younger brother grew out of it, and I never fully did. It just kind of evolved. Where like suddenly I'm not like in fairyland anymore, but I'm reciting. If I'm evolving, yes. I'm like, why is he stroking his belly in the background? No. I get that. You're pointing to evolving. Huh. How about that?
Yeah.
Anywho, it evolved into me reciting scenes from movies. I'd learn scenes by heart. I would quote dialogue endlessly. I quote dialogue in the car. Sometimes if I'm going for a solo walk nowadays, I'll quote dialogue from films and TV. And it helps because I'm wearing a mask and no one sees me talking to myself.
What's your favorite genre? Like, what are you most into as a fan?
Boy. As a fan, I really love science fiction because I feel that you can tell any type of genre through science fiction. You can tell science fiction romance. You can tell science fiction comedy, science fiction thrillers. Like there's just endless possibilities you can use.
Okay. Well, what's the stuff you quote the most?
I'd say lately it's Star Wars and superheroes because that's pure escapism during this day and age.
So you got yourself one of them Disney Plus IDs, and you just go in there and goof around for a while and watching all the stuff you love.
Yeah, I'm not much for conspiracy theories, but the only one that I would half jokingly believe is that this whole thing has been orchestrated by Disney Plus to get everyone hooked on their service. Because
I've never heard that one before.
In spades.
Oh, goosebumps.
Yeah. We see you, Disney.
They conspired with Netflix and HBO Max to get a virus out there.
Yeah.
Whoa, shoot.
Yeah, man. I mean, everyone's worried about the man coming to get you. It's not the man. It's the mouse.
Right. It's the house mouse.
Yeah, the house mouse.
But, dude, I mean, are you a wrestling fan at all?
Huge. Yeah, I was really excited to see that you're a wrestler. I did a show around the end of May where we had like a wrestling but primarily WWE night. So I was screening old matches, doing commentary. We had trivia. But I've been a wrestling fan since like 2006.
Okay. That was quite an era. Who was the biggest star then? Was it John Cena? Was like he was like rising star at that time?
I think Cena was just solidifying himself. I think 2007, John Cena hit the point of like no return. He's going to dominate the card. I was always gravitating more towards guys like Edge, Orton, later CM Punk.
You psyched about the Edge winning the Rumble?
I get why they did it because they are in a rough spot right now with not being able to have fans live, and I think you had to. I think this was a year of all years to have a part-timer win. And I don't even know how part-time Edge intends on being. I think he just keeps getting hurt, and that's why he's gone for long stretches.
Jess, what was the thing we were talking about right before I asked you if you were a wrestling fan? Because there was a reason I asked that, and I can't remember what it was.
You were talking about my escapism, why do I have this need to like be a performer? Validation.
Eventually, my theory has been for a while. Eventually, everything will be owned by Disney, even WWE. I think WWE is going to be owned by Disney. I've been calling that for a couple of years, and they just made a deal where WWE Network is going to be streaming on Peacock. They're like doing away with the WWE Network, and it's just going to be on Peacock. I'm like, this is only steps towards like being owned by Fox. Like there was already on Fox. Now there's this NBC thing. It's like Disney's gonna scoop up this property.
Why do you think they sold to Peacock? I mean, obviously it's the streaming wars, but like I feel like the network was only like 6 years old, really?
2012 or 13 it started.
No, it started WrestleMania 30, I think, was the first pay-per-view, and that was in 14.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think it got announced in 12 and then it launched in 14.
I think that's more it.
Yes. So it's been like 6 or 7 years. And I'm cool with it. I mean, here I am doing a commercial for the WWE Network now on Peacock. Folks, listen, for the same amount of money that you've been paying for the WWE Network, now you get like The Office and Parks and Rec, and you get like 30 Rock, and you get like all the coolest shows that are like, I'm nuts for like sitcoms. That's why like when I was talking to the director, what is his name? Was it Alan?
Director of what?
The guy who was in the group with us.
Gary.
Okay, Gary. Yeah, when I was talking to Gary.
Shout out to Gary Maselli.
Yeah, shout out to Gary. And I'm gonna have you on here really soon. Sorry, I forgot your name, buddy. but I was just so in the moment when I was talking to him, and he was talking about a sitcom. Sitcoms are like my dream job. As a comedian, as an actor, I'd love to land a real sitcom, like a real network TV sitcom, like a multicam, or even a single cam, something like a Parks and Rec or something like a 30 Rock or an Office. Like that's like my dream.
Yeah. Do you gravitate towards some of the older sitcoms? I mean, everyone's got different definitions of what qualifies as an old sitcom, but do you gravitate more towards that golden age, or do you gravitate more towards like the newer ones that have come out? Like from the last 10 years or so, like Two Broke Girls or The Big Bang Theory.
Okay, so those ones, I like that they exist. I like catching up every once in a while, but not like binging episodes. Maybe I'll catch an episode when it's on or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not going way out of my way to check that out. But if like one of my friends was on it, I'm absolutely gonna, go check it out. I'm gonna totally support my friend and watch it. I'm so happy for all those people who get those gigs. Like I love it as like, you remember Undateable?
Yeah.
I loved that show. And
Okay.
I was such a fan of everybody who was on that show. I saw Brent Morin like 3 times, like doing stand up. And I saw Cryptalia probably twice, and Ron Funches. I was a big fan of all those people. And I was like, you know what? This would be my dream. And now I listen to Rick Glassman's podcast. I dig it. And I hope, he seems like he's got a lot of views. A lot of people check him out. I would like to know him. Like I'd like to have a conversation with him about these kind of things, because he has the same sort of like manic brain that I have, like where it's like over analytical on things, and it's like insecure and stuff, and I can't get out of my head on certain things, and it's like, oh, time to overshare something. Here goes an overshare. It's like, well, pull back on that overshare, buddy.
Nice. Do you you mentioned like a couple of stand-up comics. Where are you located?
I'm in Philadelphia.
Oh, so is my brother, who is also named Corey. That's interesting.
Neat. Is it?
I'm just curious what kind of clubs you've gone to see stuff or have performed at.
Is it Corey with an R-Y or R-E-Y?
Spelled the exact way as you.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, a true Corey.
So here's what I do.
Love you, Corey.
Here's the method I use. I say, when people go, why don't you spell with an E? And I'm like, well, you see, my name's really Cornelius, and you spell it without the E if it's Cornelius. And they're like, really? I don't know. I'm making it up. I'm making it up.
No one would ever question that.
Right. People go, oh, okay. As long as you sound confident, as long as you seem like you know that. Like,
that's improv.
No, what's that?
That's improv. As long as you say it confidently, it can fly.
Right. Yeah. No one's ever been like, let me see your license. I'm like, my real name's not Corey either. Like, it's all a work. It's my wrestling name. I made it up for business purposes. My name is not Corey. But shout out to your brother, Corey Boone. What's up,
Love
buddy?
Corey. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Not pronounced Boone.
It's not Bowen. It's Boone, like Daniel Boone, the hunter, or Boone, Iowa. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just liked the funny thing about that was it was like you said no one had ever said that to you before, and I was like, as soon as I said it's not pronounced Bowen, like no one, and you were like, nobody's ever said that before. No, I've never heard that before. And I'm like, how have you never? My real last name is Goins, right? Which is Goins, but it looks to people like coins. So they pronounce, look, coins, it's Goins, right? And I'm like,
No.
no.
Like people give so much crap to the baristas that get our names wrong, but like everyone is so appalling with names.
Right,
I feel that's why everyone gravitates towards a stage name.
Right. Well, I mean, I chose this stage name in the way I spelled it this way on very much purpose. Like it's spelled that way because when I first started wrestling, my gimmick was it was like right around the time that Zoolander was a big hit on DVD. So I loved Zoolander, and I wanted my gimmick to be that I was also a very stupid male model. So the initials to be CK, and I'd have like CK like Calvin Klein on the side of my pants.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So when people spell it wrong, I'm like, you're saying my gimmick doesn't matter. You're saying that what all this work I put into it.
When you are selecting your ring name, do you have to like go through anything like actors do at SAG? Like you have to see if the name's registered to somebody else, or no?
No.
That's awesome.
It's way more indie that like, it's indie wrestling. So it's like maybe if like you're going to work for the WWE.
Oh, no wonder you're in Philly. Indie wrestling.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, indie wrestling. I'm from Philly. Like
yeah. Philly, New Jersey. Like, of course,
right.
Of course, that's where you are.
That's the heart of indie wrestling. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I spent most of my life doing more time in my life wrestling than not wrestling. So I came up in the early 2000s in the ECW arena. Like that was where I got molded as a person. So it's of course Philly wrestling, and it's like that's where the stupid like the Philly pride in like stuff. You probably get it with Arizona stuff when you see Arizona represented in stuff, where you see people
like, yeah.
Right. I think
Philly is insane in that regard.
Right. Yeah.
I'm surprised you guys didn't burn down the town after you won the Super Bowl.
I did. You know what? I'm not a super huge sports guy. But I was watching it. My mom's a huge fan. And it was such an important moment because her entire life, she's cried and cried and cried about the Eagles not doing good. Oh, I don't want to say her entire life. At least my entire life, I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And being able to see her witness that and have the joy, like that unfiltered joy, it was the coolest thing. And it'll be a memory that I have for the rest of my life. Us talking about that. We're doing it. We're recording this just for context on the Super Bowl weekend where it's just a funny thing to mention that very Philly silly tidbit in the middle of Super Bowl weekend.
I'm excited for the Super Bowl. I don't care that nobody's there. It's exciting.
I don't care. I just don't. I've never liked sports. I've never liked the whole idea of competing, like winning and losing and all of that. Is, to me,
you're more focused on the storytelling.
Give me a good movie.
Yeah.
Give me a good comedy. Give me a good like romance. Give me a good like action. Give me a good horror. I'd rather take that over some sports game because like everybody wraps up like their whole identity in the winning or losing of their team. And people go like, oh, sorry, I'm really upset today. Like my team lost yesterday. Like we just couldn't do it. I'm like, no, you didn't do it. Don't be upset. You weren't there. Like you weren't.
We lost. Oh, you were there too?
So
I get that endlessly every time I lose.
I'm like, it's just they lost. You had no control over it, and you didn't lose any. Like those people are getting paid lots and lots of money to play that game, and it's a game, and and there's gonna be tons more games. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna
I
be.
mean, at the end of the day, sports is just a TV show, and the playoffs are another TV show.
Mm-hmm. Just a more watched TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So you like the Cubs, huh? Did CM Punk do that to you?
He did actually.
Oh yeah,
he did. Not that I ever met the guy, but it's funny. Like I came there for him and just stayed because I love the Cubs, and now he's gone off to do other stuff. I don't follow him anymore, but I keep watching the Cubs because I love the Cubs. I got hooked. I mean, I feel like with sports, you kind of got to find your in. It's nothing that anybody can make you find. Like you haven't found it. Like it's not saying that there's anything wrong with you. You haven't found your clinch.
Yeah, I mean, I say it all the time. Please apply this. Please take it if you want. Sometimes you don't know. You can't find whatever it is because whatever it is maybe doesn't exist yet. Maybe like
you said that in the episode I watched.
Yeah, I say this all the time. I'm going to continuously beat it over everybody's head who listens. It's like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a wrestler or a comedian. I wanted to be a wrestler and a comedian. I didn't know I wanted to be a podcaster because that technology didn't exist. There was no such thing as a podcast. Like, did I want to be like a radio DJ? Not really. No. Like, maybe I would have. My life would be completely different if I had said I wanted to be a radio DJ. But
yeah, I mean, I didn't know that I wanted to make stories over Zoom, but here we go.
Yeah, exactly. You never know that that's what you want, and it's very close to achieving a very big goal. Regardless of what success is wrapped up in it, it's like you did something. You wanted to do something and you did it. You didn't talk about how you got screwed out of doing another thing that you wanted to do. Like it's more about like, yeah, I did it. Instead of being like, oh, I was gonna act on TV shows, but the network and Hollywood and it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault. It's like, no, you just grab the bull by the horns.
Yeah, and you just keep doing it bit by bit. You get the yes or you don't, but you're the only one that can make yourself stop.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure you didn't do your bumps correctly the first few hundred times.
Dude, the training, and I have to very openly admit, I wasn't good. I wasn't good at all. It didn't come
wrong with that.
It didn't come naturally to me at all. Some people it comes really naturally. And like those people are outliers. Like it's ridiculous how like it just comes really easy to some people. Not to me, dude. Like I struggled a lot. It took me a lot of time and a lot of effort to become anywhere close to even passable. And I was training for years before I became something. And still wrestling and going to training, like that was all part of it. Like, I'm friends with a guy who owns the Monster Factory, right? And he says like people who are in like the NBA still practice.
Yeah.
So it took me a long time. And a lot of the practice, a lot of the learning comes from getting out there and doing it. And a lot of failing, a lot of messing up. And I try to take a little bit of pride in the fact that like I never hurt anybody. I never, knock on wood, never really got hurt.
Oh yeah.
I mean like that says something about the amount of persistence, I guess, in like making sure to do it right,
Yeah, but like I find that the guys, I mean, the wrestlers that I've seen at like Q&As and stuff, the people they praise endlessly are not the ones that had all the titles, but the ones that were like always just a joy to work with and always did it safely. Everyone loves Kane. Everyone loves Cesaro. Everyone loves the guys that just kept everybody safe. Because then you can work with those guys for 10, 12 years and keep doing a bunch of shows.
Oh, you know what I was thinking about today?
Whoa.
Did you watch when Cesaro took that slingshot and his teeth went right into the post?
Yeah, and he was just messed up for a while.
Oh, and he still wears the mouth guard, but like his teeth went up into his head. Like his teeth didn't fall out. His teeth got pushed up into his head. Man, what a tough guy.
And what does he do? He shrugs it off and comes to work the next day and he's like, cool, what else can we try?
Right.
That's a special type of insanity you got to hold on to.
Yeah. It's like, how the hell did you not go, you know what? I'm never doing this again.
Yeah. Especially when you're at that level and you feel like you could leave and you'd be fine.
Right.
But no, they want to keep doing it.
You know what? I think I get it. I really, truly get it. But I mean, like people outside of the brand that we are, you know what I mean? It takes a different breed of person to go like, I'm going to go do this thing that's like sacrificing my wellness for the sake of pops or for the sake of the reactions or the emotions. The memories that we create are more important than how long our lives are sometimes. Like wrestlers don't live very long. Like statistically, a good amount of them pass away pretty young. But, you know, that has to do with pain pills and drugs and people getting involved in things that they shouldn't get involved in.
Yeah.
So do you have a comedy background at all? Have you ever done stand-up?
I have never done stand-up. I've done improv with UCB out here in Los Angeles. It's a more long-form comedy.
Yeah, I know. Upright Citizens Brigade.
But some of them might not know.
Some of them, of course.
Yeah.
UCB, LA.
Yeah, I love UCB. I love doing shows there right next to the sushi stop, and then that's where we all go afterwards. And I've done a lot of comedic web series. Another thing, like speaking of stuff that we never saw ourselves doing. I worked at a geek-themed bar in Hollywood called the Scum and Villainy Cantina. It bears a very strong resemblance to that Star Wars bar, even though it is not affiliated with Disney. And every Thursday night, people would do karaoke, and they decided to keep that going virtually after the shutdown, because there's always a core group of regulars that come to do karaoke. So we've been doing it online. And then Hamilton came out in July, so everyone's going to sing Hamilton that week. And I looked at the Kings song, You'll Be Back, and I just remember turning to my friend and thinking, how funny would it be if like you did that, but as the Emperor, and like you sang, You'll Be Back. And it's crazy because you don't even really need to change many of the lyrics to make it any less sadistic. So I called him King Palpy, and King Palpy just came to sing the song, and everyone loved it so much. He's literally become a recurring character every week on the show. And like he'll do all these different parodies, and I just never saw myself doing that. But now I'm writing stuff, I'm editing, and I've just learned so much about like writing for comedy, acting comedy, editing comedy, which I never even touched. And this week I'm going to introduce his heel to give him some trouble. You know,
Palpy is one thing I don't like about my orange juice. Anyway. You into like Kevin Smith films?
Oh, it's where the bar is where Kevin Smith does his weekly show.
Okay. Well,
so yes, I'm familiar with Kevin Smith's filmography.
In Dogma, when he's like, I feel like he's like, I'm Solo, he's Wookiee. When this is Princess Leia, we're in that fucked top bar.
Yeah, he's a really sweet guy.
Yeah, that's great. He's a dream collaborator with me. I in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'll be collaborating one day with that fella.
Keep
so
throwing it out there.
Yeah, it's
he loves working with wrestlers.
Clearly.
Yeah,
and Jericho is also one of my dream collaborators. He's one of. This is the funniest thing. Don't tell anybody this. Sign an NDA on this for me, real quick.
Just you, me, and the internet. We'll keep it a secret.
Keep it a secret.
Okay.
I just got a new pair of gear made. I got a new pair of tights made that are exactly inspired by a pair that Chris Jericho wore in 2000.
Okay.
And the back where it says Castle, like all my other tights say Castle on the back, it's written in the Y2J font.
I will say anything.
But I haven't worn them. I haven't had a match since then. I got them made, and I don't have any reason to wear them. I don't have any bookings. It's like, maybe when I do wear them, I'll tag Chris Jericho in a tweet or something, and he'll see. Or maybe I'll just this is another funny thing. It's kind of embarrassing. I found his like PR agency.
Okay.
And I reached out to them, and the woman got back to me, and she was like, "Yeah, what are your downloads?" And I was like, "It's steadily increasing, but it's this much on all platforms, on Spotify and Apple and all that stuff." And I was like, "It's increasing. It's increasing. I'm still new at it. I mean, I say new. I'm doing this 4 years, but I said that, and she was like, "Let us know when you get more, because I'm not going to even pitch it to him, because we do podcasts that have a way bigger reach than that." And like, was a real Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday about the whole thing. And I was like, all right, well, that kind of blows. But I'm gonna keep throwing my tennis ball up against the wall. You know?
Hell yeah, man. I know we still need to talk about Freshman Circus, but do you ever see Jericho's podcast? But I'm Chris Jericho.
Yeah. The YouTube series, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny shit.
Yeah, I'm very inspired by him in a lot of ways, considering that, like, same thing as you, when you said Edge, I was like, Edge, Chris Jericho, all those people were like long-haired white dudes. That's me. That's my, that represents me. I'm absolutely sure. I mean, I don't normally identify as a white dude, but you know, the long-haired men, sure. I identify the most with like my favorites growing up were for sure Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Edge, Christian, all these long-haired men. And then I started growing my hair out. I started growing my hair out like 99, 2000. Like it was a long ass time ago. and it's like with being inspired by these people, but I stuck out, and I continue to stick out in wrestling, considering the fact that like there's tons of other people still doing it, and it's like a lot of the things, like I watched a documentary the other day where it was like Gerald Briscoe was on it, and he's like, if you're watching WWE Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, and you see somebody and you're like, oh, I could see myself occupying this space and doing this thing, and like I belong here, and like maybe I serve as a representative to something that somebody else here doesn't. Like, yeah, I think I do. I know there's tons of wrestlers who are like long hair and good shape, but like, how many of them are brain surgery survivors? How many of them are comedians? How many of them are podcasters? Like, how many of them have like acting reel that I have? How many people have that? You know what I mean? It's like the amount of things that can be in your favor, you have to continue to remind yourself what your value is.
Yeah.
So I try to do that. And I want to do it in a very humble way. Because in the back of my head, I'm like, you ain't never seen a motherfucker like me. in the back of my head, I'm there. But in reality, I'm like, I just want I want somebody to understand that we have way more in common than we have apart, like different from each other. So
Yeah.
we can find a common ground in the fact that we're dreamers selling dreams to dreamers. Like I said on the podcast that you said you listened to.
Yeah. I mean, we all are having like these little ideas, these little babies, and we got to protect them, but we got to keep putting them out there. And because you'll never be amazed. You'll never be amazed. You'll always be amazed by the kind of people that take an interest in it.
Right.
And, if it's a genuine, heartfelt idea, chances are someone's going to take notice. It's only a matter of time and matter of attempts. And as a wise man once said, your effort has more. What was it? The crap you said? Your effort has more C word something than
your time and effort are
time
more
and effort
than your money.
Defeated by currency. Typical actor defeated by currency.
No, I've actually, it's funny because I've been using currency, like the word currency, so much in my life, like for the longest time. Like I remember I was dating this girl when I was like, I was a couple years out of school, and she was like, how are you going to afford a car? And I was like, I don't know, currency. I will pay currency for the vehicle.
I will locate currency and I will use currency to my advantage for my currency methods.
Well, what you don't currently see is me driving a car. Soon.
Currently, I'm on the cusp of currency.
So you got to be in the frequency for currency. And I'm hoping that the energy and the frequency that I'm putting out is having more people understand that this time and this effort is more valuable of a currency than dollars. But sure, if you want to throw me some dollars, considering I'm a struggling artist throwing these episodes out there for free for the world, I'll absolutely take it, because support matters too. Results matter. In they don't matter as much as like you put results into, like, oh, I posted that and it didn't get enough likes. It's like, it's not a matter of like what the likes are. It's a matter of like, how fulfilled were you by what you did, and if it served value to somebody else, hopefully you can get something back for that. Because as I read in a book once, nobody should expect something for nothing.
Correct.
But you're not going to be charged money to listen to this, but it's going to take some effort and some time that you you can give to any other thing at all ever. Like, there's at any given moment tons of any other thing. You could watch any other movie, you could watch any other show, you could listen to any other music, just with this little magical box that you carry around in your pocket. So, the fact that you're spending some of that currency on consuming my repeated ideas, I fucking appreciate it so much. And
repeated ideas stick.
What's that?
Repeated ideas stick.
Yeah. That's like, when you want to learn how to wrestle, you got to bump the wrong way a bunch of times before you bump the right way. And then when you bump the right way and you learn to do it, and everyone goes, "Hey, that was that was the right way. Keep doing it that way." And then you go, "Oh, I'm motivated to continue doing it the right way because somebody said." And then once you get it down, it's second nature. And so that's like with any kind of training. When it comes to weight training, when it comes to a sport, when it comes to baseball, or when it comes to
acting training.
Yeah, acting. I'm saying baseball because you're wearing a Cubs shirt, and that just made me think of that. But Did you have anything? Did you have anything that you wanted to ask me or say to me? Because I know when we started, you were coming in hot. You were like, "All right, I'm gonna ask you and tell you all this stuff."
Well, I'm happy to discuss the freshman circus show.
Huh?
I mean, wrestling is amazing. It can turn into a black hole for me because I will just keep asking questions left and right,
Dude,
especially with someone that's practiced at the
Let's
craft.
fall into the rabbit hole. I'm fine with it. I'm owning it. Like there's absolutely no denying that I've spent my life in wrestling only so that I can answer questions that people ask me about wrestling and be very open and honest about my things I'm sharing. Absolutely.
Well, then let's get into it. When you are going to have a match with somebody, is it different every time? Does it depend on the person? How much is discussed ahead of time? How much of a blueprint do you normally have?
Well, you're kind of answering your first question inside of the question.
Whoa.
Because it is different every time. It's
Yeah.
depending on who you're in there with, depending on where they were trained, depending on what they know, what their reputation is, depending on if you are confident enough in like giving them a duty. You know what I mean? Like when you call a match, like here's the thing. This is kind of inside. I don't really talk about this, but like when you call a match, it's like you want to design it so that it's in a way where the emotions get to a point, and then in that you'll go, all right, we go from here and we'll just fill it in, and we're not going to call this part. We'll just do that as it goes. And that really depends on the experience level you have or the other person has, and like maybe your familiarity with their experience level. So
yeah,
if I'm in there with somebody who just started training 9 months ago and barely knows much, and like we're in front of people and the red lights are on, and like, all right, I'm gonna see what, I'm gonna test them out. I want to see what can, and a lot of times whenever you structured it out and whenever you called it, there will be moments where someone will get lost. Most likely that's happening. Someone will get lost, very much lost, because it's hard to remember all that stuff. And there's adrenaline and there's pressures and fear. You know what I mean? Because we're risking our lives. We're putting our ass on the line. So you got to make sure you're in there with somebody who isn't going to take advantage of your you're giving your vulnerability. You're giving them your body.
Absolute trust.
So you absolutely have to trust that it's somebody worth your vulnerability. So if you're in there with somebody who's like an older vet, and this is something I tell to younger people that I'm in matches with, like if you look at me and you say like, if you look at me and you go, I'm lost, I'll remind you where we are. I'll remind you where we are and do it fine. And we're right back on track. But if some older guys, you say, I don't know where we are, they'll take advantage of you. They'll hurt you for that. And that's kind of a direction of the business we want to steer away from. Because we're trusting somebody with our bodies. So if you're gonna trust me to tell me you don't know where you are, and instead of telling me that you're lost, ask me what's next. Like, that's what I say.
I just feel if you can't be transparent with somebody, if you're lost, that would probably create a bigger risk of getting hurt. Correct?
I mean, it once again, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on all the circumstances. It depends on the type of person you're with, the person, like what they've experienced and like who they were trained by and what lessons they've learned.
You mentioned earlier someone asking like, where are we? When someone asks where are we, are you thinking in terms of time, like we're at the 3-minute mark, or do you think in terms of like moves? So like or spots?
The way I worded it to you might not know him now, but you're going to know this guy. His on Instagram, he's at the monster Chuck Payne. Like, he's going to be somebody. I remember telling him, like, his first year in, where a match can be structured like a song's structured. So if there's a song that you know that you love, like, let's say the first verse is this.
Okay.
You're like, oh, I know when this musical breakdown happens, then these lyrics come in. I would say, remember that as how to structure matches. So, like, what's next? What lyrics come next? So that would be kind of the idea. That would be in the I'm lost or what's next. It's like, what segment comes next? What sequence comes next?
Gotcha. Okay. Because you've maybe agreed on some sequences ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so, some people will go, let's just call it all out there, which I'm fine with doing. But a lot of people aren't fine with doing it because the business has evolved in such a way where, like, people aren't taught that way. People aren't given that hard lesson. Like some places, like the place my roommate was trained, like, they used to have shows where they would go, you get out there and you call it all out there. And they would have shows where, like, I did after he was gone, I did a show there, like, where I just did commentary. I just did commentary because I wasn't able to wrestle. I had some surgery on my brain, but I was doing commentary on the show, and I was like, there's another clothesline, and he hits him with a what, a body slam. Everyone's winding up doing the same shit because nobody knows, like, how to. It's like you can learn that structure for so long until you have to, like, make a match mean more. You have to oh yeah, my signature move is a suplex. Shut up.
What? That's the best you got.
Right. No one said that to me, but I'm saying, like, how do you convey that?
Do you find that I mean, I'm sure it varies, of course. Do you find that certain styles are easier to work with? Like, do you find that a high flyer is easier to work with, or someone that's larger and is more grounded, that's like an easier person to work with? Is there an answer?
There is. The thing is, I want to make sure I'm in a match with somebody who's close to my level on a lot of things. So if somebody is like a flyer, I can call a match around making sure we both shine. If I'm in there with somebody who's like a bigger person, I'll only know that I can only do so many things. Like, I can't pick them up as much. I can't in independent wrestling in Jersey and Philly, I'm one of the bigger people, and I'm 6 foot 220. Like, not huge, but bigger and in better shape than most of the people who are around on, like, an indie level. And it's not me shitting on anybody else, but it's like,
no. But yeah.
It's very much like, I don't know. I really just want to make sure I'm working with people who belong in the ring. Like sometimes people have no business being in the business. And I want to make sure I'm working with people who belong there as much as I believe I belong there. And I believe I belong there because I was trained to believe that I belong there.
That's crucial. When you say that someone doesn't belong, do you find that that's usually them lacking anything physically that they don't understand, technique that they don't understand, or is there like a psychology thing that they aren't quite grasping?
Accumulate a little bit from all those columns into one thing.
I'm seeing a theme here with my questions.
Yeah, the answers are everything is circumstantial. It really is like, it's like, are you going to be able to handle the fact that you're not always going to win? Like, it's not even a real competition. It's not about who wins and loses. It's about telling the best story and giving the best show. Like, sometimes these people who are in the crowd have never seen wrestling before. have never been to a live wrestling show before. And you have to think when you're out there performing for these people or when you're on TV, the people watching you, a good portion of them already have their preconceived speculations about like wrestling being bullshit and being like you said, a thing earlier about a thing that you grow out of. Like most people like shame wrestling as it's like a you're just somebody who never grew out of that. Like everybody grows out of that because that's what the cool kids do. It's like, well, if you're doing everything based on what you think the cool kids do, who are the cool kids? Like, who are the cool kids and what are they doing with their lives? Like, are you talking about
what I do?
just because they've got money or because they've got a nice house or a nice car? That doesn't make them cool. That doesn't make them better than you. Like, gotta like what you like. You can't be ashamed to like what you like. And that's why when you said, "Oh, I never grew out of that," I was, in my head, I was like, "Who said you had to?" Like, absolutely,
no one told me.
absolutely like what you like. If those things are juvenile, then you're young at heart. You're not an old curmudgeon-y spirit. Like, if you're ashamed of something because like Chad doesn't like it, let Chad not like it. There's probably tons of other things that Chad doesn't like, and you're not changing it by not liking a thing that he doesn't like. I just made up this Chad person.
Yeah. Poor Chad. Chad's like the male Karen.
Yeah.
Chad gets no respect. Shout out to the good Chads out there. There's a few of them.
Well, I think that's actually an incel term. Do you know what an incel is?
Oh.
Do you know what an incel is?
Oh, I know what an incel is.
I think they call dudes like you and me Chads.
Oh.
So, sorry, incels.
Our apologies.
Sorry, incels. Didn't mean to apologize. Didn't mean to apologize to you. I meant to say that. Didn't mean to offend you, but sure, I didn't mean to apologize either. Screw you. I don't care. We watched. We watched this documentary over here. My old roommate was sitting here watching this documentary with me, and my wrestling trainer was over, and the documentary was about incels. I forget what it was called. Shy Boys. I think it was called Shy Boys. It was on YouTube, and my trainer was sitting on in the dining room. He was sitting in the corner part, and he laughed so hard he fell out of the chair, and like he was like struggling to breathe, and we're like, "Hey, are you dead?" Like we thought he killed himself by laughing so hard at this incel documentary. But they went over, the vocabulary and their curriculum for being an incel and their philosophies on stuff. So if you feel like watching a half-hour long documentary about like bitter virgins, absolutely check that one out.
And since you're in quarantine, there's probably very little you haven't seen yet. So go check it out.
So anything else?
Man, how do we get on incels?
We got there.
Do you find that it can be more challenging to have a lengthy match with one person, or is it more difficult to have a shorter match with multiple people, like a triple threat, fatal four-way? Is it?
I'm gonna tell you a secret.
It's okay. I promise I won't tell anybody.
If you put me in any multi-person match that isn't like just a singles match, it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my experience. I don't want to not shine because 9 other people need to shine. So yeah. It's like I can't get my gimmick over. I can't sell properly. It seems like when those kind of matches are happening, people are selling just enough so they can peek through to get ready for their next time, their next spot. It's not, to me, it feels very like you're watering down what pro wrestling is by adding too many people into a match. Like, for sure, I've done it right and I've seen it done right and I can do it. I just prefer not to be in a match with 10 other people.
Yeah. Like
it's like, how am I going to be remembered? How if you had 9 other people to remember in that thing, what's gonna, I mean, like it's kind of like the same thing. It's like TikTok. It's like TikTok for a match. Like you watch.
Yeah, that's a good way of phrasing it.
You watch 1,000 of them and you forget who you saw and what it was. It was just a fleeting moment.
Look at the Royal Rumble. You remember like 5 people that were in the Rumble every year.
It's not the best representation of my skills.
Interesting. Yeah.
So
this is great. I'm loving this.
I'm happy, dude. I'm happy.
When you do you do much work with weapons or like gimmick matches, that kind of thing?
I don't, but I don't mind doing that stuff. I don't hate it and I don't love it, but it's like it can add to a match. It can certainly add to the drama of a match. It can add to like the story of a match. It can add to like you can tease it, you can build it, you can build it, you can build it, you can build it, and then the payoff and the pop for it. You know what I mean? Like it's all the same thing as being an actor or being a comedian. You're basing everything off of like the instant gratification of like if you nail this scene or if you told a joke really good and it got a really big laugh and you're like, yeah, and it's the same as like if you're doing like a callback in your comedy. Callback. It's like you teased it, and then you paid it off.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the appropriate pop for it.
That's great. In improv, they're always trying to stress that like less is more. Less is more. You don't have to do so much. Mm-hmm. When you're working with someone that's less experienced, do you find that you're trying to communicate that to them? Like, hey man, you don't have to smack me 20 times with a chair, otherwise it's going to lose its appeal.
Well, like think about it this way. If we're in a match, you and I, let's say you're just learning, you're just starting out, and I say like, if you hit me 100 times and I don't have enough time to register any of them and give the proper emotion behind it, versus if you hit me once and I'm like, oh God, and I'm selling it appropriately, for sure, less is more in that. For sure, less is more. Like we only have so many inside the business. We call it a bump card. So we only have so many holes that we can punch in that bump card. So if you're just bumping me, bum, I'm wasting my holes.
Yeah.
And I want it to be better for both of us. And if I'm not able to make you look good, then I don't look good. And if you're not able to make me look good, then you don't look good. It's like the Vidal Sassoon. If we don't look good, you don't look good. If you don't look good, we don't look good. It's like that Vidal Sassoon professional wrestling.
I really love all the parallels between wrestling, comedy, acting, and how just really it's all about the other person, you know, and taking care of them and trusting them to take care of you. One just has infinitely higher stakes than the others.
Right. Sometimes stakes can be rare. Sometimes they can be medium rare. Sometimes they can be well done. All kinds of stakes.
Steaks.
But yeah,
I feel like I just became Kevin right there.
Yeah. Perfect. I'll give you how many more are you doing? Are you still, is there ones that you're like getting lines down for? Are you like trying to do more of those? Are you guys wrapped? Okay.
We're wrapped on season 1. I think we really want to see what kind of connection we find before we start revisiting season 2. 3 episodes are out so far. They come out every Wednesday. And we've got
every Wednesday, or every Wednesday one episode comes out?
Every Wednesday one episode comes out. Yeah, I'm excited to see where we're heading these next couple episodes.
Well, are you hoping that to like this would be neat if you're doing it this way and developing these characters and then want to film it like like an actual classroom where everyone's in there. Like once the quarantine ends, like once everything opens back up, you can go on sets. Like I have friends who are filming stuff in LA now, and putting stuff out. It's just that you got to safe sets. You got to, and I mean, I have that going on here. Like I got another part that I'm doing right now. And it's just like, got to get tested. You got to wear a mask. You got to be distant from people. You got to take all the precautions that you can take. So
and I feel like the crew often has it worse on non-Zoom sets. My fiance just got home. She was on set all day. It's just so many extra hoops you have to jump through, so much extra work to stay, and they never get to take their masks off.
Right.
And now they have to wear face shields and masks. So they're getting bogged down by all kinds of stuff. We have the fortunate ability to be able to just record entirely from home, and we don't have to worry about COVID regulations because I'm not actually in the same room as anybody else.
Right. So hoping, like ideally, are you in your mind like this is going to become a real show? Like,
it's interesting looking at where the show can go next. Because when we were shooting one, Gary Maselli would constantly say, I think we have a very limited window to do this show, because once the vaccine comes out and really works and everyone goes back to their lives, you almost wonder, does it just become yet another show set in the classroom? Because it's unique this way. It's unique because we all know what's hanging over their heads. And even though it isn't directly referenced, we know why they're on Zoom.
right.
We know what's really gripping over these kids as they unleash their wild shenanigans on the teacher. But we have discussed that if future seasons are done, we should explore the idea of them meeting each other for the first time. Especially because without spoilers, over the course of this season, we see these guys not just butt heads, but have these moments of, oh, you're actually not so bad.
Yeah, I feel like I have that in my real life on here all the time. We're like, oh man, I didn't know what my expectations were, but now that they are relaxed, I feel like, well, we could be friends. Like I've had that many a times where like I have my hopes so high for an episode, and it's like, oh man, that one didn't really get me where I wanted to be. Like, do you have that when it comes to like experience levels of other actors that you're working with? I didn't do anything like Zoom acting, but like working in a scene with somebody who might not be mastering it as well as you, or like the same things with experience levels and who they're trained by and where they came. So it's all the same circumstantial stuff talking about wrestling, but apply it to Zoom acting on Freshman Circus or any other acting. Like, let's not specify, like, in order to get you undue heat with people who you're on that show with.
I would say that there absolutely is this moment in the beginning where you're really trying to meet the other person where they are and kind of get a sense of where they're coming from. And that's what I love about our rehearsal period so much, is that we would usually run through it a couple times before we started recording over Zoom. And it's weird when you can see everyone in gallery. We don't have shots in gallery in these first 3 episodes. I've been told that we will see the entire class in gallery.
Spoiler.
In future episodes. Yeah. Heaven forbid. I just completely ruined the whole ending. No, I didn't.
I have to say, man, like being in wrestling for as long as I've had, spoilers don't bother me at all. Like at all. Like I can let anything be spoiled and still like it for what it is. Like,
that's great.
Like, because breaking the kayfabe code here. It's like there's a lineup sheet on the wall in the locker room. Sometimes there's like a dry erase marker, like a dry erase board, a white dry erase board where like the matches are written out and who's winning is underlined. So if I'm walking through there and I'm like the first match and I am invested in the story behind what the main event is, I already saw what the main event, like what the finish is. I already know. Like sometimes they'll have the detailed notes on what's going to be said in the promo and what's going to be done here. So it's like I've already lived the idea in wrestling that like spoilers don't matter to me because I'm on the performer side of the barricade. So I look at my life on a lot of those things. Like I'm on this side of the barricade. Everybody else is on that side of the barricade, and I'm here because I'm okay with it. I made this agreement. I've signed this non-written contract that like I'm gonna like it if it's good, and I'll dislike it
because you're invested in the journey,
right? And there's always going to be another mountain. I'm always going to want to make it move. There's going to be an uphill battle. Sometimes you're going to have to choose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb.
It's the climb. This was a fun climb because I had never done a show over Zoom before, and you have to get used to different things. Like, okay, maybe we don't have the same level of pacing because Zoom has a bit of a delay when it shifts from one person to the next.
Internets.
Yeah. But I think embracing that helps us because we're leaning into the real problems of Zoom. It feels like a Zoom call. It doesn't just have that crisp, clean cut like you'd see on a normal sitcom.
How long are the shoot days?
Shoot days are probably, it would be about, we would usually try to shoot 2 episodes in a day. Each episode's about 9 to 10 pages. It would take probably little over 2 hours to rehearse and shoot. Usually we would usually do 3 takes, and then I would insist on doing a 4th because I felt like we had really grasped the rhythm and knew what we were doing by that point. And the last take is always pretty good because everyone's relaxed. They feel like we already have it. They can just be themselves.
Right. Yeah. As somebody who, when I've directed things where I go, okay, we got it. Let's just, since we already got it, just be free on this one. Do whatever you want to do. And sometimes that's the best one.
Yeah.
Sometimes it ain't. But sometimes it is. And it's like, what a bonus.
Absolutely.
What a little bonus. And
it's a bonus that Bo one asked for.
Bo, you're on my frequency, sir. Did I get you there?
We're ready to roll from the top.
So I just got two more quick things, maybe a few more, and then I'll send you off in the sunset, hot dog and a handshake, and you can get on with your night or your day because you're in a different time zone than me.
I've got more time than you.
So the segment I like to I call it audio time travel, right? You heard me do this before?
Audio time travel?
Mm-hmm. This is the segment I do where I say, okay, what's super important to me is that this stuff, this episode, this audio, this video, all this stuff outliving us. For sure outliving us. So, 40 years from now, if, either one of us is gone, somebody can go back and listen to this and be like, I want to see what Justin Bowen was really like. Let me go back and get an impression of what 2021 Justin was like, I'm sorry, why did I say Justin? I'm sorry. I have a sister named Jess and I have a brother named Justin, and they're both trying
I've got a brother named Corey. I learned your name.
Right. So, we're just inconsiderate dickheads.
Yes, we are.
No, not us. Not you and me. Philly people. No one likes us. We don't care. That's what.
Oh yeah.
That's what Jason Kelsey said. But
it's a man who knows his people.
Right. He knows his people. It's just a little bit rude, and I think a lot of it is like that the idea behind no one likes us. We don't care. It's bullshit. We care. We care. We should not want people to not like us, but like it should be for a reason that has merit. Like we're like, people don't like us because we're inconsiderate assholes. Maybe it's not their problem that we're inconsiderate assholes. Maybe we should be less assholes, more considerate. Anyway, Jesse Boone's family finds this recording 40 years from now. Your kids, maybe your kids that you have one day, or or your siblings, or your wife finds it and and just kind of wants to hear the message that is that the timestamp. You're traveling right now. Your audio is traveling right now to 40 years into the future. What are the messages that you want known about your time on Earth, and what lessons can be learned?
I was a guy who just had a childlike curiosity. I liked wrestling. I liked telling stories. I loved to write. I loved to just put my voice out there and try to find something to say. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But whether it was doing an improv show, whether it was writing a fan script or a pilot to pitch, whether it was talking about the wrestlers I love, or whether it was doing a show about a college class conducted over Zoom, I always tried to find a human touch to it. I always tried to breathe some sort of life into whatever it was that I was saying, and, bring the role to myself as opposed to the other way around. And it's interesting playing so many different characters over the years and trying to find out what's authentic about me when my job is trying to find as many different faces to wear or as many different voices to speak through. I'm sure you'll notice I also had a penchant for rambling, so thank you 40 years from now for bearing with me. But know that I always tried to find my voice above all. And it was a constant, beautiful struggle to know that that voice was real and actually had something to say.
It's a cool thing to think about.
What's that?
In 2041, you're still around. You can go back and listen to that and feel feelings of like, I was really trying to figure it out there, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And you should be like, what a young dick who didn't know anything yet. Because you have so many lessons still to learn. And the fact that you're willing to learn them and wanting to connect in a very personal way. Like this, I can see where you want to see a character, and you want to find where you can find yourself in that character in order to embody the rawness of who that person is.
Because I'm not Kevin.
Right.
I'm not a wannabe bodybuilder. I'm not as braggadocious. I'm not as confrontational as he is. I am way more afraid of being a dick to somebody than he is.
Mm-hmm.
But by trying to be him and bring him to myself, what is it about him that I can actually find myself in? When can I find a side of myself that I've never explored before or had a chance to say some things to some people?
Yeah, man. I totally understand that. Like I was playing this character that I said some stuff that I know I would never say, like objectifying women. This character was objectifying women in a way in which I would never do.
Yeah.
Because I was raised by a single mom. I got two sisters that I grew up with, and I just never ever wanted to make any woman feel like they're not as equally respected as they should be. And I was saying this line and I just couldn't get through it. And my sister was on set that day. And I was like, oh man, Jess has got to be on set. Jess has got to be on set when I got to say this shit I would never say. but this is somehow like what you start learning about yourself and the origins of why you feel the way you feel about things, and like how to play the character. The character doesn't have the filter that I have because they haven't learned the lessons I've learned, because they absolutely have a different perspective than I do.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure on the record, I tell you, because this is on the record and this shit's outliving us.
40 years later.
I want to make sure I let you know, like, this is us meeting. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. Who knows what's next? But I want to let you know, if like I can ever be a resource for you in any way, if I can ever help you in any way, if like I can, if I can connect you to a resource that you didn't know existed, or I can introduce you to something you didn't know, maybe you need just a friend to talk to sometimes, judgment-free conversation, I'm always here. I just want to let you know, I'm glad this is the beginning. I'm glad we're friends now. I'm optimistic about where we're going.
Yeah.
And man, I'm on your team. I'm on your side. I got your back.
Tag me in.
And any other questions you ever have, man, absolutely feel free. I'll give you my number. You can text me, and we're completely open to talk anytime. And I always say that to like anybody who's like consuming this, anybody who's listening. If you've been listening for this whole time, the currency that you've paid me, the currency that you've paid us, is so precious. And
thank you very much.
We appreciate it so much. I want to let you know, and that invitation goes out to everybody listening too. It's like, if I can be a resource for you and I can connect you to something, maybe a mindset that you didn't think existed, or a way to overcome obstacles, or advice, judgment-free advice and conversations, absolutely reach out to me. I'm really not hard to get a hold of. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Corey Castle, CORYKASTLE. And for sure, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you out. If this is your first time checking out Evolving with Corey Castle, all the old episodes are on all the podcasting apps, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Stitcher. And for sure, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Jesse. I want to just ask you, this is how I wrap up every time. Every time I'll ask you in a very Jerry Springer's final thought sort of way.
Oh boy.
I've gifted you this show. Hypothetically, this show's yours now. Okay, so Evolving with Jesse Boone, and this episode was a pilot episode, the very first episode of your podcast. In a very Jerry Springer's final thought type of way, wrap it up in a pretty little bow and give people the message that can help them evolve to a better version of themselves tomorrow. And then give your best Alf impression and say, "Hey, Willie."
Hey, Willie?
Yep.
Well, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. I have never spoken to Corey before. I've had no contact with him. And yet,
it's like you're being like a magician. We've never met before, right? Nothing's up my sleeves.
But watch, what was behind his ear? It was a podcast. I've never met this man before, but it's so beautiful that we have the means and technology to connect from so far away, even through rough circumstances. You can find a connection with somebody. You can find somebody that makes you laugh. You can bond in ways that you didn't really expect to. And that's kind of what my show, Freshman Circus, is all about. These are people from all different walks of life coming in, not getting along at first. But when you're stuck in quarantine with no one to talk to but your screen, you may be surprised what you can find if you were to only give it a chance. Corey has become a wonderful resource. I will definitely reach out to him. This is a really awesome, genuine human right here. And Freshman Circus is about that sometimes futile, but always entertaining attempt to find that for yourself. I'm not going to do my Alf impression, but I will do my Walter Cronkite impression. And that's the way it was, everybody. And thank you very much for listening.
That was the best one so far, I have to say. And this is the motion you'll catch me in No, people listening aren't seeing this, but I'm clutching my chest with both hands with a humongous smile on my face. This is how I receive compliments. I receive them, and I'm so grateful. Thank you, and I can't wait for us to collaborate in some way. If we can create some other cool stuff, absolutely, let's do it. Oh, I love you, man. I just met you today, and I love you. You're my bud, and
Love you too, man.
hope we
Thank
can
you so much.
hope we can just continue. And I want to do it like a follow up one of these.
Yeah.
If you want, if you want to, it's funny, man. Like I want one of my really really good friends. He said to me like, "Oh man, I wish I had your outlet. Like I wish I had your outlet where I could just like have a conversation with somebody and like get into stuff and like ask them questions that you wouldn't normally ask somebody. Like, come on my show and do it.
Yeah.
Whoever you want. I'll do an Evolving with Corey Castle and a Friend episode, and you can ask whoever you want to like whatever questions you want to ask them and go, well, it was part of the show. So if you ever want to do something like that, absolutely hit me up. I want to be that resource for you. And I'm excited. And I hope that you have a great day. and
you as well.
And I saw somebody say something on Twitter, and like they used it as a catchphrase at the end of something they were saying. I want to borrow it. Have the day you deserve.
Have the day you deserve.
Take that with you. Treat it like it's a piece of gum. Chew on it and love it. Be fun. Have safe. Keep evolving. And